Hey, how's it going? It's your boy Milwaukee Dog, Colorado's own cannabis industry ambassador. Quick news here, a little breaking news from Full Spectrum Survival. So tune in right now. We're going to tune into Full Spectrum Survival. If you haven't subscribed to Full Spectrum Survival, make sure you subscribe to Full Spectrum Survival on YouTube. Here we go with Full Spectrum Survival.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Full Spectrum Survival here on YouTube, bringing you the news that you need to know every single day. The only channel bringing you headlines from America and from around the world every day for you and your family to make good and actionable, informed decisions for what to do in the unknowns of tomorrow. The former military inspectorate of the Ministry of Defense of Moldova has said that the armed forces of Transnistria have rigged all of their arms depots within the breakaway region, including the Kabazna ammunition depot. They've rigged them with explosives so that if any military operation begins from Russia, of Moldova, Transnistria, and Ukraine. Moving forward, the United States of America is reported to be in the discussion and action implementation phase of how to react to Russian President Vladimir Putin's recent announcement that the country will strengthen its own nuclear forces. This is a readiness for nuclear war. The U.S. natural gas futures are continuing to climb. They're now up about 10%, and we see economists say that you can expect gas to basically never come back down to what it was before. Your house prices aren't going to come down. Your car prices aren't going to come down. Your gas prices will not come down. Only through strategic manipulation, and that isn't to say it's a good thing, of things like our oil reserve. Will they be able to keep gasoline prices in a nominal level? When those climb beyond their ability to control, and when we run out of reserves, you can bet that America will be involved in the next war. The Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu has held a series of high level secretive meetings with top military officials. These meetings are aimed at increasing the possibilities and the preparations for a unique, what they're calling a unique military confrontation with the country of Iran. We expect they're going to bomb them and take out their nuclear weapons creation capabilities. The current situation has bonds in the economy down like inflation is at 10%. The stock market is down like the Federal Reserve's pivot is gone. We're seeing different mortgage demands at 25 to now suspected 35-year lows. Earnings that are being posted are seeing their largest decline since the third quarter of 2020. Basis points in rate expectations are being added, and this recession is here for everyone except the Federal Reserve. The U.S. housing market has now dramatically slowed down with higher rates. Existing home sales are plunging, now down to 4 million. Investors are reported to be backing off from the housing market. Get this, buying half as many homes as they did 1 year ago, according to Redfin. Consumer prices, that's what you and I pay, has jumped for the poorest 10th percent, the poorest 10% of the households in the U.S. in a 12-month period. They expect us to continue paying more in perpetuity. Credit card balances are increasing by $130 billion just from December of 21 to December of 2022. This is the largest annual growth on record. Every time you hear a member of the Federal Reserve or the U.S. government say that the resiliency of the American people to keep this economy going is stronger than they could have anticipated, what they really mean is people are living on credit card debt. Delinquency rates in credit cards are at their highest since 2019, and we see a massive bubble popping in 2023. Scientists, however, fear that our reliance on electricity and interconnectivity could mean that we are far more vulnerable to the effects of a coming sunstorm than ever before. They warn that the sun is entering into a period of peak activity that is going to last for several years to come. The sun's about to get much more active, sending grid disrupting storms, these solar storms, that are going to see our world change. They say this is because the poles are flipping. The sun becomes convectively unstable. Its magnetic fields become so unstable that the north and the south abruptly flip or switch places. This throws our star's polarity out of whack, according to Matthew Owens. He's a professor of space physics at the University of Reading. That instability, according to these researchers, causes disruptions in the magnetic fields at the surface of the sun, the solar giant. These become much more active, causing a solar maximum. Now, I'll have you remember, as we look back in recent history, every time we switched over to a solar maximum, we saw great Earth changes here on our planet. With so many crisis events that we are facing today and every day, it really makes you question just how much the American people and the people of our world can take. As the geomagnetic storm messes with the ionosphere's magnetic charge, in doing so, it creates currents in the ionosphere. These currents in the upper atmosphere interact with particulates on the ground. These interactions between the particles create electrical currents that flood infrastructure here on Earth. This triggers bizarre phenomena, according to scientists. In one example, in 1972, a U.S. military pilot was flying south of one harbor in North Vietnam. He saw 24 sea mines explode in the water without any cause. A 2018 study looking at space weather at the same time concluded that the cause was a solar storm. If the currents flood the electrical grid, they blow up transformers, they can completely wipe out the infrastructure in the USA. One damaged transformer isn't going to cause an issue, I'm sure you know, but a large geomagnetic storm heading toward Earth could give us a huge disruption, one that could take weeks, even months to come back from. You'll see transformers one after another blowing up, knocking out the entire grid. In that case, according to this researcher, restarting the grid will take months. He said it could be a matter of weeks or even months. And then you lose refrigeration. You lose access to hospitals. You lose things that we need for life. Things get very serious very quickly. Owens added that if the 1859 solar storm that was recorded was to happen today, we would be far more susceptible to the events and the escalation of events than we were at that time. The latest solar cycle, which peaked around 2010, was particularly quiet. He said that the governments of our world have been lulled into a false sense of security. It was the smallest that we had seen for 100 years, he warns. The danger of going from a small cycle to a slightly bigger one is that you then realize where all of the vulnerabilities lie. So that might be what we're looking at here in the next couple of months or even the next couple of years. I just urge your family to get ready. The U.S. Secretary of Defense is expected to arrive in Israel this week for a 2-day visit. Two Israeli and U.S. officials are saying that last Friday he spoke to his Israeli counterpart and encouraged the de-escalation of tensions on the occupied region of the West Bank. This followed an Israeli military aid on that region that resulted in civilian casualties. Now, in a statement, the Israeli counterpart was told that Austin said that the operation was indeed necessary to stop a planned attack against Israelis. He said that the two discussed joint efforts to calm down tensions in the region. That's right, they're going to pivot, they're going to shift their focus to Iran. Gallant also said that he told Austin that Israel is very concerned about uranium enrichment by Iran, stressed that Israel is committed completely to preventing Tehran from gaining nuclear weapons capabilities. Now, while there, the defense organization, the entire defense group of the United States of America, is expected to begin implementing plans, meeting with the IDF chief and meeting with other areas and other organizations in the Israeli government to prepare for a war on Iran. Walmart has recently posted a condemning report on the state of the American economy. This said that the stock market needs to get ready. Things are going to be tougher in this year in 2023. A warning that consumers are starting to pull back as they feel the squeeze on the American financial markets. Relentlessly rising prices on everyday goods is starting to squeeze the American pocketbook. The retail giant's revenue and profit grew quickly, more quicker than ever, according to analysts that looked through the months behind. This included holiday shopping, people putting things on credit card debt, consumers making more trips to the stores. Walmart's quarterly revenue of $164 billion was almost 8% higher than the same period a year earlier. December was the best month for sales, and now they're saying watch out because people are stretched too thin. They simply cannot put the same amount on credit cards that they had been. The company forecasted mute earnings for the current financial year, worse than anticipated. This has scared investors. Doug McMillon, Walmart's chief executive, he put out a warning to analysts in the market on a call that the company was optimistic that more higher income families will start shopping with Walmart. That is to say, the people who were putting their money elsewhere now are going to be scraping by. It was a similar story at the giant Home Depot. Profits are going to be slim this year. The home improvement giant retailer said that they closely tied